I think people don't talk openly about steroids because they're afraid that people will think they didn't earn what they have. I think the question you have to ask yourself before you take steroids or any type of enhancement is you have to ask yourself the basic question is, why am I doing it? Right? There's a deeper psychological game I think you have to play with yourself by asking yourself why, so you can get to the core of what you're lacking as a human to make you want to do that. I've known the side effects of steroids back when I was a young man, what I still have taken. When I first started steroids, I was 18 years old, 1982. At that time, when you said the word steroid, people were like, what? What is that? It wasn't like it was in the zeitgeist what everyone knew what it's about. Oh, you're juicing, it was. So I got injured as a freshman in college playing football. And in a snap of a finger, I saw my dream disappear. And I was working out, trying to get back in shape, back on the field, and I was falling behind. And I was in the gym one day at a regular gym, and I saw a guy working out, and he was huge and he looked great. And I just walked up to that guy because I'm always curious. I'm curious. I said, God, man, you look great. What do you do? Same thing in life today. God, you're successful. You run a good business. What do you do?
Yeah.
Saw you today. First thing I said, hey, you run this great business. What do you do? How'd you get it? I'm very curious. I think a curious mind is a successful mind. So I walked to this guy and I said, what do you do? And he said, well, I take steroids. 1982, I'm 17 years old. I said, what's that? And he said, it's this hormone you take. I get them from a doctor. They may help you recover faster and you get bigger and stronger. And I said, well, that sounds great. Sign me up. Who doesn't want to get bigger, stronger, fat, all that stuff? And so when I was 17, I went to one of the first steroid prescribing doctors in America, Dr. Kerr out here in Los Angeles. And I went to him at 17. He said, I'm not going to give you drugs. You have to be 18. So I waited till my 18th birthday. My dad gave me $172. And I went on my 18th birthday to see Dr. Kerr in Los Angeles. And I walked in and he said, hey, look, I'm going to prescribe you testosterone cypionate along with 2 Dianabol, 10 milligrams of Dianabol, which is an oral steroid.
Okay.
And I said, great. And he said, look, you'll start to get stronger. Your body's going to recover faster. You're going to be able to train more, train harder. And I said, okay, great. And I said, are there any side effects? And he said, yeah, some, nothing. And I said, okay, but when do I go off? He says, you don't.
Wow.
He goes, I have some pro football players on these and, you just stay on them and we keep adjusting. So for me to talk openly about it, when I first took steroids, they weren't illegal.
Right.
Nobody knew about them. This was a thing I was getting from a doctor. And even when I was playing football at San Jose State and on, they still weren't illegal.
Right. Okay.
There wasn't any, thing saying this, there wasn't any paperwork or any laws saying this is cheating. And now you ask me if there would have been, laws, rules, if you take steroids and you cheat. I don't know if I would have. I'm not saying I wouldn't have. I don't know if I would have. I know in my life I'm not a cheater. If we're playing cards, I'm not going to cheat. If we're playing, tennis, if we're playing football, I'm not going to cheat.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the rules and the setup when I started taking them. And then when we're on American Gladiators, they started to test us. And then that was a whole different thing where they're saying, hey, it's not illegal to take them, but advertisers are putting pressure on us because WWE, Wrestling, Hulk Hogan, and these guys, they just had this big expose where these guys were all on steroids, and then advertisers don't want people on steroids. So they said, we're going to test you to please the advertisers. And I was, taking testosterone then, and I was nervous. I said I could lose my job over this. But what was interesting, they called us in about, a month later, and they just said to us, hey, we're going to test you guys. And I thought they're testing us that day. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to get busted.
Yeah.
But they said to us, hey, we're going to test you in 6 weeks from now.
Wow.
And that just gave me the idea is that they gave us time to pass because
Right.
in the beginning of the show, we were their product.
Right.
Right. So they wanted us to pass. And
Yeah.
then the funny thing was, this is just business.
Mhm.
They never announced who tested positive.
Okay.
All they announced was, we tested
Yeah. Yeah.
the
It
Gladiators.
looks better.
Yeah, we
Right.
tested them.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's a different time, right? And you didn't know about the side effects either. So, what's the scariest part of the side effect that you know now?
Side effects of steroids. I think when you initially take them, they give you a capacity to work out so much harder because you recover
Hmm.
so much faster. Then you have these huge muscles where your tendons and ligaments haven't quite caught up. So when you put all that size into movement, you tend to start to tear muscles, ligaments, and tendons because they're not strong enough. I tore my hamstring in college because I'd built these legs that could squat 500 pounds, but they still didn't have the strength yet it happened too quickly.
Right.
So I think injuries happen more quickly. Steroids also thicken your blood, which can lead to heart attacks and blood clots. Steroids can also undermine your reproductive ability. Um, I think the general thing about steroids is if you're competing in a sport where it's illegal, it's cheating.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever won something where you cheated and how that feels.
Right. Kind of guilty.
Yeah, you don't. If you cheat to win, you don't enjoy the win.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's a cards, with your friends, if you're cheating, it just does not feel as good to win. And now that there's a governing body of drugs that says steroids is cheating,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it feels great to win.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So you've witnessed the popularity of steroids back in the 80s, the 90s. There's other drugs today that are getting popular. Ozempic is one of them for weight loss. Do you see similarities between that and steroids?
I don't know if I see similarities. I just know if you're taking something to get a result, what happens when you stop taking it? And if you're 20 or 30 years old and you're taking Ozempic to help you lose weight, and that is the reason you're losing the weight, what happens when you're off of it? That's the question. Now, the right question should be is there a way for me to get those same results without taking the Ozempic? And look, people make losing weight and being at a healthy body weight seem so difficult. But it's really simple. You take in less than you burn, right? It's an intake output. If you're taking in less calories than you're burning, you're going to lose weight. What we lack is the self-discipline to go and do it, right? And our brains are hardwired to do things that we enjoy. When you eat a certain food, we've been hardwired to get a dopamine hit. Oh, good, you eat, dopamine feels good. Why did we get that dopamine hit? Because so we could go out and hunt again. Our ancestors. If food didn't set off a dopamine surge, we wouldn't go hunt. We would sit there and die and starve. So they had to make it feel good. So we're hardwired when we get that food to get a dopamine hit.
Yep.
Now we don't have to go hunt for our food. It's there in boxes and stacks and truckloads. And people haven't figured out that, it's going to feel good when I'm eating. Oh, I should stop. It's bigger than just saying I'm not going to do that. Everything to me comes down to plans.
Okay.
Right? You have to have a system.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have a plan. And the three most important things of a plan is when, where, and for how long. Right? So I'm going to eat this when for breakfast. I'm going to eat it where at my house. And then it's how long am I going to follow this process, right, to get the result that I want. For me, I look at food as sustenance, right? And I'm always aware of calories in, calories out. And I can just tell, like a thermostat, oh, my pants are getting a little bit tight in the waist, right? Oh, okay, I have to stop as many calories in that go out.
So calories in, calories out is big for you. And when it comes to gaining muscle, so you can be fit without enhancements, but you can be a lot more fit if you take enhancements, testosterone, is popular these days, like HGH supplements, things like that. Do you recommend people to take those kind of boosters and to add those to their plans?
I think the question you have to ask yourself before you take steroids or any type of enhancement is you have to ask yourself a basic question is, why am I doing it? And I think a lot of people are doing it to gain significance, to gain validation, to gain importance. And if you're clear on why you're doing it, I think, and you really ask that question and you really sit with it as a person, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm doing this because I got bullied. I'm doing this because I want to look better than the guy next to me in my office, right? Then you have to say, why? Why don't I look better than that guy? Right? There's a deeper psychological game I think you have to play with yourself by asking yourself why, so you can get to the core of what you're lacking as a human to make you want to do that. For me, I still take testosterone now. I do it with a TRT doctor in Studio City over at Novus. I do my blood work every 3 months. I take enough so my testosterone is in the optimal level, which is 900. I don't go over where the side effects are. And my choice is that I want to have the optimal energy, the optimal strength, the optimal vitality for someone who's younger than I am at my age. And I'm very, very clear. I like being lean. I like having a little musculature to me, and I do it for those reasons.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And as long as you can manage, because back with steroids, there was all those negative side effects that, had you known that, you probably wouldn't have maybe gone quite down that path, would you say, or you still would have if you would have known all those?
If I would have known the side effects of steroids back when I was a young man, would I still have taken them? Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to go back at that time. I had such a need to be seen. I had such a need to recover and get a scholarship to school. And that, to me, was the path to recovery. So I don't know. I know the right answer is say, oh my God, no, I wouldn't. I don't know.
No, I think honest answer.
Yeah, to go back in history and put myself in that place emotionally, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, that's an honest answer.
Yeah.